Okay, so yeah, it's recording now. So what I'm going to demonstrate today is a quick look at SubD modeling for your ring. I think I did a little bit of this the other day. And then we're also going to take a look at using NetFab to clean up our 3D models. So let's start with the SubD. One of the first things that I do, and one of the things that I like to do that's important in keeping track of what kind of SubD mode I'm in, is I use the selection filter. I'm going to type in selection filter. Let me get on there. Selection filter. And it's going to disappear right now. So I'm going to bring it up again. And this is what it is. And you can take this off. You can dock it different places around. You can put it over here. You could also put it over here. It all depends on where you're most comfortable. I like my selection filter up here. And there we go. We're going to put it right there. And when you're working with the SubD tools, you'll want to have that SubD tool tab open. Or you could just use the SubD menu. But I think that, you know, it's, especially when you're first learning something, it's nice to have these visual cues that can help you figure out what you're looking at. And by the way, interrupt me if you guys have any questions. So in working with SubD, let's again bring up that circle here. I'm going to put in a circle for my finger. And we're going to center that circle in at the origin at 0, 0, 0. Enter. And I know that my pinky ring size is 0.6. So it's tiny. I don't know what size it is. It's probably like 4 3/4 or 5. I think it's less than 5. But I don't really go by, I tend not to use the size numbers. I use actual measurements. So this is our size. I like to put that on a separate layer. I'm going to say ring size. All right. And this way I can hide it if I need to. Oh, once I put it on the layer, I'm going to escape, right click on the ring size and change that object. You can see it's selected. So when I do that, now it's white, same color as the layer. All right. So if I was going to build a ring using SubD, one of the things that I could do is, I think we started with a torus the other day. Let's use a flow along surface. So we're going to create a surface here. I'd like my ring to be maybe 1/4 inch thick. So I'm going to use the solid extrude planar curve straight. And for extrusion distance, I'm going to choose 0.25. I'm working in inches. So, all right, let's see. That looks, oh, it went both sides. I'm going to undo. I'm going to right click to bring up the, see how it says both sides? Yes. I only want it on. So I'm going to click there. I'm going to change it to no. So both sides. No, I'm going to, and 0.25 is already there from the last time I used the command. So I'm just going to hit enter. Over here, I'm going to make this ghosted so we can see what we've got. All right, so here, that's interesting. I wonder why we have a surface there. Oh, did it make this solid? Yes, it did. Okay, well, that's all right. So we want to use the outside surface though. So I'm going to use a command called create UV curve. We're going to click to this surface here. We're going to hit enter, and it created this closed curve out here. This curve relates to the curve that I just clicked on, or the surface that I just clicked on. Now I'm going to make that a surface using the planar surf command. No, planar surf. SRF. Okay. And now we select these curves, hit enter, and now I have a surface there, you can see. So what I'm looking to do now is I'm going to create a SubD. Let's make it a, let's start with a basic box. And I'm going to use this surface as a guideline to create this box. And now I'm just going to go up maybe, I don't want my ring to be 1/4 inch thick, so I'm going to make it maybe 0.125. That's 1/8 of an inch. So what I did here was I created a SubD box. It probably should have had more geometry to it. Let's see if I can rebuild it. Nope, we're going to do it the other way. So if we go into SubD, let's bring up that SubD tool tab. Now, let's subdivide the top part of it. We're going to leave the bottom together, but we're just going to take these. So when you're working in SubD, you want to choose what part of the geometry you want to work on. Whoop. And actually, I like to pull this whole tool tab off and park it right under my selection filter, if I can. Yeah, there we go. And now this is here every time I open up Rhino. So I'm going to choose faces, and look what it did to my selection filter. I can see that surfaces is now surfaces faces, and everything else is turned off. And you can also see that sub objects is turned on. Once you stop using SubD, if you move to another part of Rhino, it's important that you make sure sub objects is turned off, because it will not let you select things the way you normally would. But right now, what we're going to do is we're going to choose these top faces. Okay, and let's make sure SubD stays on. Okay, so I'm going to click these. I'm holding down Shift so that so I can select multiple things. All right. And now we're going to go to subdivide SubD. And now I have additional geometry there. Now what I can do is I'm going to change my selection to vertices. That's the points in between. And I'm going to choose some of these kind of randomly. And in my 4 viewports, we're going to just pull that up a little. Oh, that's kind of fun. All right. Maybe I'll make this guy go down a little. So like the way that is looking. We can, yeah. And another thing that you can do with subdivide, I'm going to use faces again. I'm going to go here and I'm going to extrude. That is this command right here. And let's see what that'll do for me. I want it to stay close to where I am. One of the things you got to be careful with extrude is that it can easily back into the surface that you're working with. So this is kind of a, let's extrude down the other side here too. But first, let's take that face and subdivide. And there we go. Wow, what happened here? That's interesting. Maybe I won't extrude over here. I'm just going to take this vertices here. We're going to switch to vertices, grab that, and move it out. Okay, so now I can take this whole thing and we're going to turn off sub objects. I'm going to turn on SubDs, polysurfaces, and surfaces. And now we're going to take this whole thing and we're going to wrap it around the ring. And let's go here using flow along surface. You know what, we're going to just take this, while I'm at it, I'm going to get rid of that inside of that. We're going to extract surface. We're going to take the top one and the bottom one, since we didn't really want that to be. And now I'm going to delete. Yep. No, that isn't what I wanted. We want to get rid of that surface right here. What do we got? Surfaces, poly surfaces. Layer. Why isn't it letting me? Okay, escape. Oh, they were already extracted. All right, that's good. There we are. Okay, so what we're going to do now is flow along surface. So the object I want to flow is this SubD. Pressing enter. Now the base surface, it says to select near a corner. We're going to select it there. Now the target surface is the ring form that I created. Let's say that's pretty weird. Let's try it again. All right. We're going to do that. That's the object. Now I'm going to choose on this edge now near the corner. And I really should hit the target surface in one of these three viewports and not the perspective viewport, because the perspective viewport can be very deceptive. Oh, that doesn't look any better. This command is one of these ones that you kind of got to play with a bit. So we're going to do it again. I'm going to keep clicking the same spot, but I'm going to try clicking different spots in the okay, I think that what we've got going here, rigid, no, constrain or auto adjust, preserve structure, no. Maybe we should preserve the structure a little bit. Undo. One more time. Enter. Go there. And preserve structure. We're going to say yes and see what we get. Going to click right in here like I have been. Yeah. It spins differently. Okay. Undo. Let's try one more time, and I'm gonna base surface. We're gonna select right here. Constrain normals. Yes. Let's keep the preserve structure. No. So I'm going along and I'm playing with each of these little adjustments to see what happens. Okay. Press enter for active view Z-plane. Okay. Yeah, still kind of odd. But flow along surface is one of these tricky things. And yeah. All right. Well, what we're going to try instead of just working with the flow along is we're going to change this to a NURBS, which is a basic Rhino object. And we're not going to delete it. There we go. So this is the new one. And the SubD, we're going to hide. Control H. Let's try the flow along flow along surface. Select the object, hit enter. The base surface, we're going to select there. And here we're going to go there. And oh, escape. I don't want to do that base surface. And we are not going to constrain the normal. We'll just see what we get. Target surface here. Okay. Well, we're getting somewhere now. It's all staying within the. So what we're going to do, we're going to take the. I can see what's happening here. When your whole ring winds up on the inside, what you want to do is mirror it to the bottom of the surface that you're working on. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to go start a mirror plane. I don't want to copy it. I just want to keep it here and over here. Okay. So now we're going to do it again. We're going to get rid of this guy. We're going to go flow along surface. Now we're still going to choose the same spot that we have been here. And on the target surface, we're going to choose here because it's been predictably on the outside. Now, here we go. That's kind of an interesting form. All right, so let's say we wanted to keep this. All right, this is my ring. This is the ring that I want to send to the 3D printer and have cast in bronze for my project 2. So let's quickly, we're going to hide this guy too and this curve. Oh, wait, I can't choose curves right now. I'm going to hide that. So now we don't need this surface either. We're also going to hide that. I'm going to hide the ring size. And now we're going to make this this layer for printing. Okay. So, and we're going to make that our active layer with the check mark. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to put a copy on the, oh wait, it thinks I'm hiding something. Press enter when done. Okay. I want to put a copy of that here. And the reason I'm doing that is because now I can hide the default and I can work with this one and I'll have the default so that I can go back and render it without the sprues. So remember, we have to do sprues for these rings, right? We have to find a way for the metal to flow into the form. So I'm gonna build a couple sprues here. We'll start with a control point curve. I'm gonna put it right about here. Ew, excuse me, just sneezed. I'm holding down the control key as I'm clicking to put this in the middle of the ring there, in the middle of the ring form. And now I'm going to go down and we're going to hit enter. So we can see that this curve that I made goes from the inside of the ring. I'm actually going to move it down just a tiny bit. From the inside of the ring through into the middle. Now, why wouldn't I put the sprue on the outside? Any ideas? It'll be hard to cut it off. It'll be hard to clean it up and make it look like it was part of the ring. Whereas the inside of the ring is flat. So we can get our jeweler saw in there and just cut off this sprue and sand and file, or file and sand the inside and polish. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab my the last control point here. So we can see that they go down into the middle. Let's do this. You can see all the pieces. Now, let's pipe this. P-I-P-E. The start radius, let's look at that. We don't want it to be real big. Maybe, let's see, let's go with an 1/8 inch, 0.125. And now the end here, we can make that a little less than 1/4 inch. Let's make it 0.2. And we're going to just hit enter. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's a radius. Ah, this is a mistake that happens a lot. So I didn't want a radius because the radius is only from the center of the circle out to the edge. So that means the diameter is twice that. So we're going to undo. I'm going to make the start diameter 0.12. And then the end diameter, we'll make that 0.2. Okay, these might even still be a little thick. Yeah, they are. Let's go with let's undo it one more time and do 0.1. 0.1 for the start diameter and 0.125 for the end diameter. Let's hit enter. Okay, that's more like a reasonable size sprue. So I'm going to take that, and I'm now going to use the polar array tool to put it. Yeah, that's roughly the center. Actually, the center would be 0, 0, 0. Remember, we started off with the origin on our original ring size. Okay, so now we have three little pipes for the sprue. Let's just put one more. Let's put a cylinder under it right here. I'm going to make that about 0.125. We're going to make that one. Is that what I want? Let's say escape. I don't want that. It still seems a little thick to me. And let's go with 0.1. Base of the cylinder should be here, here, and we're going to make that only about this big. Oh, somehow I ended up in SubD. Is that a SubD? Yep, that's a SubD. That isn't what we wanted. Wonder what is going on here. Yeah. All right. Let's. Yeah, I went through the wrong menu. Okay, so we're gonna 0, 0, 0. We're not going with radius. We're going with diameter. Diameter, we want 0.12. And here we go. Oh, started in the center there. Looks like this needs to come down. We're going to move it up. I'm actually going to make this a little bit shorter because we don't have to have these gigantic sprues. All right, so now I am going to make this a solid by using the Boolean union command. And I'm only going to do one at a time. So now I'm going to hit enter. It created the meshes. Now that piece is with it. I'm going to right click to run the last command. And one more, we're going to hit that and this and right click. And again, we have those meshes. And now we've got this, and it's still creating meshes. Great. So before this goes out anywhere, we need to check the edges, show edges. And it has no naked edges. This is our edge analysis over here. Sometimes when you first use it, it'll come up with all edges, and it will mark all the edges with this pink edge color, which you can change if you really want to by clicking on it. I don't want to. But what I really need to know about is naked edges. So we don't have any naked edges. You can see that this thing just touches based on the way I made it. But there are no naked edges. So the other thing that I'm going to want to check is volume. And I'm going to use the volume command. And right here, it tells me I am at almost 0.12 cubic inches. So this isn't very large. And that's fine, but I can use that number, and I may want to save it over here in my notes. I don't have the notes panel up. I'm going to bring up my notes panel. Where's it at? Maybe it was up. I missed it. Hold on. Oh, there it is right there. Okay, I'm going to say that the volume is, oh, I got my caps lock on, yuck. Volume is 0.12 cubic inches. That will be helpful if for some reason I forget to weigh my wax later on in my process. So now we need to get this thing checked out in NetFab, which is the software that we use for checking our 3D printed, our files for 3D printing. So first we have to export this out as an STL file. That stands for stereolithography. So I have it selected. Now it says I choose export selected under the file menu. I'm going to change the type as to STL. You can see that you can do like dozens of different kinds of files with Rhino. So we want to change it to an STL. I'm going to call this SubD ring underscore test. And I'm going to hit save. I'm going to save it in my Barb Bauer CAD I, Barb Bauer folder. This number should not be 0.01. It should be 0.001. And what this setting is for is Rhino is now taking our NURBS object, which has these smooth surfaces, and creating a mesh file. An STL is actually a mesh file that's made with triangles to create the surfaces that become 3D printed. So I'm going to hit OK. Binary is also OK. And now we're going to go to NetFab. All right. Whoop. It's right here. It's this square that has an N in it. It's made by Autodesk. This used to be a free software until Autodesk gobbled it up. So the first thing you do before you do anything else, oh wait, I have to share the screen again. I see that because I moved off. Okay, so I've opened up NetFab. It is the icon that shows an N in a white. It looks like this. So the first thing we do is we hit settings. It's super important, especially because when we work in inches, it's important that our software knows we're working in inches. And the default with NetFab is millimeters. So we want to make sure that we get that changed to inches before we bring in our file. So I'm going to hit save. And I'm going to go over here to add part. By the way, this means that what the units that we can work in for 3D printing here are millimeters and inches. Do not make your ring in centimeters. Trying to print with centimeters is very problematic because we have to change the units over. We have to, convert the file. So start your files in either millimeters or inches, depending on, what feels the most comfortable with you. Some of us, grew up on metric. Some of us grew up on inches. So I'm going to hit add part. I'm going to go to my Barb Bauer file. And I see here my SubD ring test. It's an STL file, which stands for stereolithography or standard tessellation language. But that's what I'm going to grab is that file. I'm going to hit open. Right here, I have a little green check mark. That's a good sign. If it comes in with a green check mark, there's a little repair that we have to do to it. If it comes in with a triangle that has an exclamation point in it that is yellow, that means we're going to need to do a little work. But first, we're going to hit add file, and here it is. So now, and if you look closely, you can see that the Rhino file was converted into all of these tiny little triangles. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run some automatic repair scripts. And we do that by going to repair part. Down here at the bottom, it says run repair script. We'll choose that. I'm going to go with just a simple repair because I can see that I've gotten two green check marks over here too, saying that it's closed and oriented. So I hit run repair script and it did it already. There is a little status bar that came up and flew through. Now for apply, then we have to apply the repair. It doesn't automatically repair it. What it did was it created a separate version of the file. So what we want to do is remove the old part and just use the repaired one. And you can see now we have, it has changed the name of the part from SubD ring test to SubD ring test repaired. So this is probably good. I'll click on repair again just to make sure we still have these two green check marks. We do. That's great. So I'm going to go over here and I'm going to export this file. I'm going to right click. Whoop. Hold on. Normally you can just, oh, right. We're not repairing the part again. So I'm going to get rid of the part repair. Remove part repair. Okay. So we're back to just the ring. I'm going to click on this. It'll select it again. When things are selected in NetFab, they are orange. I'm going to right click and I'm going to say export part. We're not going to export the project. We're not going to save it as a project. We're going to export the part as an STL. And okay, so interestingly, I now have the yellow triangle with the exclamation point. So I'm going to go into here. I'm going to put a tolerance number in 001. I'm going to click on optimize. Did you see that that status bar that just flew by? We're going to hit OK. And now I'm going to remove it. Now, the reason I'm removing it is because I've already saved it out. I exported it and I do want to remove it. Yes. So now there are no parts. So to double check what's going on with my part, I'm going to add it back in. I'm going to add the repaired one. See how I have two now? I have SubD test ring and I have SubD test repaired. Let's put the repaired one in. I go to open it. I still have my green check mark. It says one shell. That's fine. I'm not even going to open it now. That means that my file is okay and it should be printable. So I'm going to hit cancel. I'm going to close NetFab. And I am not going to save the project. There's no reason really to save anything in NetFab because we're mainly working with the STL file that that Rhino exported, and then we change it, we fix it in NetFab. But because we're saving out the file, we don't need to save anything in NetFab. So we're saving it. Do you want to save changes? No. Okay, so that's gone. Now it's telling me I've stopped screen sharing again. Let's do the whole screen for a minute, because I want to tell you what. So at this point in your ring process, we should both be doing this. You'll show me what's going on in NetFab. Maybe I'll have to help you. That'll be all right. And then we'll have your repaired ring. So when we submit things for 3D printing here, you should have them with your name, the part number, and the material, I think. Is that what that, see that sign over there on the bulletin board with the stop sign over towards your right? That says how to name your file. It says, what, Alex? First name, last name. So mine would be Barb _ Bauer _ part name, test ring _ and I would be printing this out in castable resin. So I'm just going to call it castable. And I would hit enter. So I've renamed my file. I'll now right click and copy it. And I'll say, hey, Barb, and I'll fill out one of these forms. We have a pile of them here. If we don't have any in the tray here in the CAD lab, you can go into the 3D printing folder on the server. I'll show you that in a minute, and print them out. Here's where you'll put your name, your part number, your part name, how many, what printer. Does anybody know what printer we're using for this? You know the name of the printers we're using? It's the form printers, FORM. We have about 6 of them in there, I think. So we'll be using the form printer, and then the material will be castable. So I'm gonna, like I said, I right click, I copy this file, and I want to only copy it. I don't want to move it. If I move it, I'm going to lose it. So I'm going to go to metals, 3D printing. We're going to go to form 2, castable wax, and then I right click and I paste. So there we go. Now and don't go in here. Don't go into CAD Tech. You're only going into the material folder. And once that is in there, you have this form. You sign it. I'll sign it, and then we put it in the baskets on the door of the 3D print lab next door. Okay. And that is how we 3D print here in MJCC, at least for CAD 1. Any questions? Oh, okay. All right, well then I'm going to remove this. Actually, I'm going to delete. Oh, no, I'm not creating a shortcut. Dumbo. I want to delete that. Yes. And I also want to delete this extra file. Yes, because I don't want to get that ring printed. I mean, it'll be a nice pinky ring, but I don't really feel like cleaning it up. All right. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to stop recording. And I'll be able to put this up to